Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined again on location by Mr. Sean Keenan.
Heidi hates this movie, hates every actor in this movie, and hates us for having to watch this movie.
Can't blame at all. And of course, Mr. Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and sometimes my ridiculous suggestions have serious consequences.
You know, you say things, and a lot of people do this. They say things, and they don't realize that what they say truly has weight, truly can have repercussions. And we're going to be facing one of those repercussions today in a little movie called The Crow, City of Angels. Now, I'm sure some of you remember last year, and I know a couple people do because they've mentioned several times of like, I love these guys, their show was great, but man, they were hard on my Crow, man. They hated The Crow, and I love that movie. And we talked a little bit about that, the fact that maybe you have a colored sense of, time with what you really, loving The Crow back in the day.
There's definitely that whole thing where nostalgia warps your perception, and then a little bit of an emotional attachment, and then kind of the mythos of the lead actor that surrounded that movie.
Yeah.
So I think people latched onto it maybe a little bit more than they should have. And as far as the sequel's concerned, I really thought, man, we could be watching Dr. Giggles right now, but here we are watching The Crow Part 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's and that leads into my question for this week. Is this quite possibly the worst movie we have watched on this show?
Ooh.
Not for me. What's
the worst thing that you've seen on this show?
Put a pin in that, sir, dear sir. Let's put that towards the end of the program.
Yeah. We'll hold our comments on that till the end.
I'm interested.
All right.
I am interested.
All right.
But I think we may have this is a contender. I won't lie to you right now and say this is a contender. That's for darn sure. It's in the pantheon of, dear Lord, why do we do this? Yeah, so at the end of last year, Bruce basically said, wouldn't it be funny? There's like 3 more Crow movies or something. Wouldn't it be funny if every Halloween we did that? And we were like, no, that is the worst idea ever. And then like 2 seconds of stupid kicked in, and we were like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. I mean, hey, we've got to wait a year until it's there. And I kept putting this thing off, man. I did not want to watch this. I kept going. If you follow me on Snapchat, you saw my entire adventure watching this thing. So Hero Movie Pod on the Snapchat. But it was a pain. I kept doing everything. I was just like, okay, maybe I can clean the kitchen now. Okay. All right, I'm going to watch Shark Tank. And right after Shark Tank, I'm going to do, okay, maybe the dog needs to get walked. Let's go walk the dog again.
Has it been 6 months since I had my teeth cleaned? Maybe I need to go do that.
I was finding every excuse in the book, man, and it was like 10:30 when I started it, and it was just like, but I'm going to tell you how I got through it. We'll cover that in the review because it's very important, and it's a way that I think anybody can get through this and can be a big, giant help to you. So keep that in mind.
I don't remember this conversation where we talked about watching The Crow every Halloween, each incarnation of The Crow. But also, I was completely out of my mind October of last year, so I don't remember.
These things happen, so, But, yeah, Bruce is the one to blame for this. So, now, if you haven't seen The Crow City of Angels...
Thanks, Bruce.
Count your blessings.
Hey, you know what? If I could go back in time, not only would I ruin the whole timeline and create some bizarre Flashpoint thing, but we would have watched Dr. Giggles.
Listen, man... You're just planning for next Halloween, so. And
we've got a couple more Crow movies before we get around to the Gigglemeister.
Yeah, there's no way if we're watching Crow 2 that we're not watching Crow 3 and Crow 4 each Halloween. There's no way.
Yeah,
doing that.
At this point, we're in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yes.
It's just what we have to do at this point.
Maybe for April Fool's Day we could watch Dr. Giggles.
Oh, there you go. That sounds appropriate.
Okay. I'm enough. What is with you and Dr. Giggles?
Okay, so Sean, that is actually, Sean, believe it or not, that is a fantastic segue, my friend. In order to find out what Bruce is talking about with this Dr. Giggles, you're going to need to be on our Patreon. So patreon.com/HMP. And Bruce and I did an entire episode about horror movies that go over to comic books and vice versa and everything. And Dr. Giggles is one of those. It had, 2 issues, Bruce?
Yeah, 2 issues of a comic book that got turned into a movie starring the guy from L.A. Law that we like
Benny.
so much on.
Yeah.
Benny, and he also is in Darkman.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And so we talked about on that. And how do you get something like that, Bruce?
I think you have to go over to Patreon and support the show.
And it's going to cost me at least like $300 to get it, right?
No, it's going to cost you, I think I figured out it was 1.6 cents per minute of entertainment. Which would be $1 for people that are worried it might be a really, really, really long show. For an hour, $1.
And here's the thing. You count in the at least, they've been a little bit longer as of late, but at least the other hour of content that you get from the regular show every other week, you're paying, I'm not a smart man. That's like way less than a penny.
Yes.
Stop making Adam try to do math, everybody. He doesn't even read.
It hurts so bad. I don't like it, and I refuse to do it. But what people don't refuse to do is go down to the iTunes and give us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
That was subdued. Nice. Somebody did give us a 5-star review. Didn't write a review, actually, but that's cool. I mean, we appreciate the star. Nevertheless,
that don't matter, no, sugar. You just give us those 5-star reviews now.
And we're getting close to 100, folks. So come on, let's do it. Let's do it. If this is the push you need to go over there and leave us an iTunes review, we are getting close to 100. And for some totally arbitrary reason, I want to get 100 reviews.
We're going to throw a pizza party. I don't know why. That's what I always used to do in school, right?
Somebody asked what Sassy thinks about 100. Go ahead. Somebody.
What we need? What we're supposed to ask you now?
What does Sassy think of 100?
Oh, girl, I need 100 reviews that are 5-star reviews, baby. There we go.
Okay, perfect.
Out of the
Sassy.
park. So we'd appreciate it if you did that fine stuff as well, man. Now, I don't know where to go with the Sassy character. That would be
500 stars, Sassy. 100 5-star reviews would be 500.
What do you think about 500 stars there, Sassy?
Oh, girl, 500 stars. Come on now. Mm-hmm.
Hold on, somebody. Did Tyler Perry just walk in the room as Medea?
Oh my goodness.
Are we
Boo, baby.
Boo, the Medea baby.
You had the #1 box office draw. How does it feel, Medea? Let's not go there.
It feels real good, girl. Real good.
But let me tell you.
So you guys probably know that I worked on the TV show Homeland, right? Like I worked on the first 3 seasons of that show. Well, the joke was that every single time Mandy Patinkin's character would say something, that because he always had like these like really tough guy lines, like we're going to take them down and we are going to make them wish they were never born, like that kind of thing. Yeah. And so our joke on set was that Mandy Patinkin's character Saul had a secretary named Sassy, who was this really big black lady who sat next to him directly. And every time he said one of these tough guy lines where he would be like, and we are going to destroy them and wish they were never born. And Sassy would go, mm-hmm. Every single time he said something.
So is she a little bit more Nell Carter or a little bit more Shirley from What's Happening?
Ooh, good question.
Well, first of all, you are a monster for asking me that question, because you know that those are 2 of my favorite characters of all time on television.
How do you choose between 2 goddesses?
Both were perfect to be Amanda Waller if only they'd gotten the chance.
Aren't they both dead?
But you know what? I'm gonna go Nell Carter because I watched a lot more of Give Me a Break than I did What's Happening.
That's true, but let's be honest. Give Me a Break did not have rerun, and that's some tough shoes. Tootie cannot fill rerun shoes.
Yeah, but they had like 7 Lawrence brothers on there eventually.
Well, it is what it is.
That is also true, and rerun does beat out Joey Lawrence for sure.
Hey.
I say it's a tie on the dancing.
Ooh, dance off. I love it. If only rerun wasn't dead. I don't know.
Or Joey Lawrence's career.
Ooh, snap. Oh. It's Joseph Lawrence now. How about you get that correct, sir? Me and Ricky Schroeder decided to be adults
Gibson.
Now.
It's Deborah Gibson.
Sorry, Debbie. Your name is Debbie. Shut up. It's the white trash name you were born with. It's the white trash name you'll die with. That's what'll happen. So one more thing 2 things before we get started.
How about 1,000 things before we get started?
Why?
So we don't have to talk about The Crow 2.
You think that we wouldn't want to talk about The Crow 2 for a long period of time? Whatever would make you think that? No.
Hey, everybody, let's make The Crow a French guy.
Why not?
I'm going to talk about that when we get into the movie because I'm not sure what he's supposed to be.
We've got some.
He's not French.
Guys, there's so much good. I'm telling you, as bad as that movie was, I think it's going to be a blast to rip on. But if you want something else to rip on, it's been there for a little bit, but I'm now starting to really properly kick it into gear here. Here Movie Podcast has a YouTube page, everybody, and there's stuff up there. I do some news stuff. There's a Stan's Soapbox where Stan Lee comes in and answers HMPers' actual questions, which is pretty dope. We have like 18, 19, maybe 20 subscribers at this point, but until I get to 100, I can't put like youtube.com/HMP, so I need you guys desperately to go down there and subscribe to that thing so we can do that, and that's also where we're going to put Sean's Angry Gay Spider-Man up there, and we'll figure out something for Bruce to put up there too, so check us out.
If you want to have just a little, just a little treat in your day, go ahead and sneak and get your grandma's phone and subscribe her, because I'd like to see her reaction.
Oh my gosh, yes. When she sees my big fat head in there and just go, who is this handsome fat boy talking about movies and whatnot?
Oh, that's adorable that you think you're handsome.
Oh, you son of a! You are so glad you're not here right now.
That's what Grandma says about those Stan Lee videos.
That's true.
Ooh, look at Stan Lee in a sailor outfit.
He is a sassy man. So look at that. And all the links are in the show notes and everything, so you guys know what's what on that. All right, so let's get into it, gentlemen. I have a trailer here for The Crow, City of Angels. Get back now.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right. I thought that Eric was the last. I never imagined there would be another.
It's another time. It's another world. And another has been chosen.
Oh, does that exude just 90s action, boy? That was a trailer for The Crow, City of Angels from 1996. Here's the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. The spirit of the Crow resurrects another man seeking revenge for the murder of his son. This is directed by Tim Pope, written by David S. Goyer. And I'm going to be honest with you, boys. I said our good Lord's name in vain out loud when that popped up on the screen. Starring Vincent Perez, Mia Kirshner, Richard Brooks, Iggy Pop, of all people, Thomas Jane, and the girl who played Trini on the Power Rangers. James O'Barr had a little bit of action here last time on the HMP. Bruce broke it all down there. I don't know where we're going now with this one. Bruce, what do you have for us for the comic book connection?
Well, last year I talked about Eric Draven as the Crow, but I may not have made it entirely clear that he was merely a Crow, not the Crow. He's an avatar of the Crow, sort of like Swamp Thing is an avatar of the Green, or how Hawkman was so briefly made the avatar of some bird god by Grant Morrison. Well, the Crow has chosen many avatars throughout the history of mankind's existence. You see, at our human limits, when we've gone as far as flesh and imagination can take us, we meet the Eternal One, the Crow.
You say that with just a smile on your face, and it makes it sound so much better.
You see, he's there only for those who seek both revenge and love and are willing to go all the way and beyond. The eternal power of the Crow is a force which enters into people who have been killed, their death usually happening along with a loved one, due to their grief and sadness, not only over their own death, but also over being unable to save their loved one. Their soul is unable to rest. Now, I got to say, reading off that list of qualifications, I kind of pictured the Crow with the clipboard and all of these check boxes on it, growing impatient at how long it takes to bring somebody back to life and go kick some cartoonish thugs' butts for 90 minutes. Now, once chosen by the Crow, a dead person gets some special gifts. They become immune to bullet wounds. Now, they don't become bulletproof. They're just merely disinterested in dying when shot. They also get the ability to see through the eyes of their spirit guide crow, kind of like Bran Stark warging through his three-eyed raven. And most importantly, they get a leather duster and some Harlequin-style face makeup. Now, the last one seems to be very important for some reason that I can't quite comprehend. But Ash Corvin was chosen to be the avatar for the crow because he was a garage mechanic who was murdered along with his son after his son inadvertently witnessed a murder. After 4 years of boredom, the crow was excited to finally have somebody to possess, and Ash showed up in a 3-issue miniseries published by Kitchen Sink Press, conveniently timed to coincide with the release of the movie. Also, as far as I can tell, James O'Barr had nothing to do with this comic book. Instead, it was written by a guy named Chet, and if Weird Science taught me anything, it's that Chets are bad news. Now, save for a few key changes, it follows the plot, and I do use that term pretty liberally here, of the movie. Now, the comic book story opens with a young cloaked woman holding a sword, clad in armor with big angel wings, and she says, "I believe there's a place where the restless souls wander, burdened by the weight of their own sadness. They cannot enter heaven, and so they wait, trapped between our world and the next, endlessly searching for a way to rid themselves of their pain." And I've got to say that starting this movie off with some kind of a vicious seraphim might have been a nice touch. The comic book story also ends a little bit differently. It has an ending in which Ash wanders the earth as an undead spirit. Now, why did the movie not end this way? I guess they thought it was easier just to hire a person to wear makeup and a jacket for the direct-to-discount bin sequels rather than try to have any of the cast return to this misguided franchise.
Well, this thing, it did hit theaters. This one hit theaters.
The last one to do so.
Yeah, because after this, they were just like, my goodness. I think this, if memory serves, this thing made about $17 million at the box office. Far, far, far below what the previous Crow made. So, not so good.
And that's $17 million way too much. I mean, this movie, it's so awful. It's so bad.
And you know how, like, with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, a lot of people say David Goyer's name is on it, but he clearly didn't really write the script? I've never heard anyone say that about this movie.
Oh, so everything that I've kind of looked at just goes like, well, get this, guys. There's a longer cut of this movie that's out there somewhere. There's a 160-minute work cut print that is supposedly what the director and Goyer actually wanted for what was out there.
Actually, I heard that Congress banned that when they found out we were using it at Gitmo.
I wouldn't be shocked at this point because, man, oh, man. And I'm just, like, there's some times where you can go, to be it like, a couple Ridley Scott movies come to mind where the director's cut is, definitely different. I mean, Blade Runner, first of all, is like a big one. There's about
you
three
don't have to
different
look
cuts
any
out
further
of that.
than last week with Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean Daredevil. Yeah, exactly. Daredevil was a good thing where the actual director's cut made a better thing. But I'm telling you, I don't know what they could have added to this to make it any better. Making it longer, certainly not going to be one of those things. I didn't get to the end of this and go, boy, I could have used another 45 minutes of this. Jeez,
I think a cartoon panda that danced and passed gas would have been a nice little touch in the middle.
Oh, one of those Korean animated ones that you've seen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like that. Barely kind of moves, but I'm all for that.
This movie needs a sassy, for sure.
Or at least a nice cameo from Urkel. Because this is 98. Urkel was still going on in 98, wasn't he, Adam?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was
hardcore.
He was still kind of going. You had a little bit of the Stefan era in there for sure. Listen, if you want to talk some Family Matters, boy, I got way too much knowledge on that stuff.
Okay, well, let's talk a little Robo-Urkel.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Man, I'm the weird guy that only watched Family Matters for the Winslows. I didn't like the Urkel parts.
Oh, you were one of those devils. So you like the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then after that they're like, who is this Glorious Steve character? The audience is really going wild for him.
I was like, oh, it's that show with that lady from Perfect Strangers.
I was going to say the elevator operator. I need more elevator operator for Perfect Strangers.
She was so
sassy.
sassy.
And the guy from Lethal Weapon. It can't get any better than that.
He always
and Die Hard.
Yeah. You can't.
That's what I meant when I said Lethal Weapon. Yeah, they're all the same to me.
It's fine. There was.
How dare you?
There were police officers in there.
How dare you?
They both have police officers. It's okay.
I have never been offended by anything you've ever said, Bruce, until right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man.
So the original Crow was a big success, but obviously, with the death of Brandon Lee and everything in there, it became, and I know it's, people don't want to say it, but The Dark Knight made a lot of money, not because it was a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it also made it that extra mile money because of, the kind of, circumstances that happened with Heath Ledger. And I would say that the original Crow was also like that too. You had this upcoming rising star and everything.
And I'm going to say The Crow took it to it was a whole different experience with The Crow than it was with Heath Ledger, too. Because The Crow had actually happened during filming, which recently there was an obituary that ties back into that. Mm-hmm. And then there's the whole idea of the somewhat mysterious death of Brandon Lee's father. And then there was a Bruce Lee movie called The Game of Death where Bruce Lee played himself making a movie where they tried to kill him by replacing the blank in a gun with a real bullet. And then this happens on The Crow. I mean, there was so much stuff going on around Brandon Lee that didn't really go on around Heath Ledger.
And I'm sure I couldn't find it in my research and everything, but I remember specifically seeing it on this will date you, Entertainment Tonight, to where there was some accident on here where I don't know if someone died, but they were at least badly injured in the next two Crow movies. I know for sure. I say I know for sure, but I for sure remember hearing. Let's put it that way.
Oh man, I get all my best news from Mary Hartman Black, so I believe you.
She was good, man. She was just she was good and gave Kramer seizures. That was a good episode too. How much can we not talk about the Crow City of Angels, you guys?
Let's jump into the jaws of the beast because no matter how long you stare at the dragon, eventually you've got to pull your lance out and charge it because you're not going to go home otherwise.
That's true. Let's start with this. This guy is the same guy that brought us the Crow City of Angels, also brought us this. Yes, this was the guy who did the safety dance video.
Oh man, and had a little person in it. I love that music video.
So that's where this dude comes from. He comes from music videos, as if you couldn't tell by looking at this monstrosity.
To me, this movie feels like an hour and 25-minute long cologne ad.
For a really foul-smelling cologne.
Yeah, this is like somebody that said, we want to do a CK1, but can we make it grosser?
We want something odorific. It's something that makes your own sweat more pungent.
This movie just reeks of the 90s like you've never seen. The director thinks he's doing some sort of crazy Tony Scott kind of I'm going to put smoke in everything. Here's the deal. Tony Scott knows how to shoot stuff, player.
Well, there's two things about this movie. First off, just generality-wise. One is that they're trying to break the baby in half with this movie because they want it to be an art house movie, but they also want you to remember that this is a Hollywood movie, and so they have these really weird minute long pan and scan moments with the camera where no one is saying anything just to get the nuance of where you are, but then at the same time they also want you to know that these people are bad people and that they're going to do very bad things. That's awful. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, please continue. Then I'll get your opinion on one other thing.
The second thing about this movie, which as somebody who works in the art department, it makes me absolutely insane when I see this in movies. There is so much trash on the city streets in this movie. Has anyone in LA ever used a trash can in this movie ever? There's so much debris everywhere all the time that it completely takes over the street whenever they're outside.
Am I going to waste a perfectly good
insane.
ground? I don't think so.
And I want your opinion, too, on the set dresser side of things, because there were a couple of scenes here that I just thought were sparse. It's like the movie equivalent of the comic book guy that draws the hero and just puts a color for the background and there's no background art. There were a couple of scenes here that felt like, okay, we're in a dark room. We're just going to put a wooden plank there to be the pier, and we're not going to have anything at all around the pier.
Rob Liefeld, production designer.
I didn't want to bring up his name, but what it felt like to me was that they had big set pieces in this movie where these are our big sets, and then we didn't have any money for this scene, so let's just make it a black box. Is literally what this felt like to me. This movie.
Yeah, some parts made me feel like I was going to see a play being put on at a local church or something.
Exactly.
That's
exactly it. Yeah, exactly right. And it feels that way, and it's also acted that way, where the main actors in this movie are so bad. Where, like, for example, the Sarah character, her name.
Yeah,
Sarah,
yeah.
Every single...
It was also Sarah in the last movie, but it was a different actress in the last movie.
Oh.
Is it supposed to be the same character?
That's what I was going to ask you guys was there anything that let you know that Sarah was the little girl from the first Crow movie? Now she's grown up, moved from Detroit to Los Angeles.
No.
Like, it's the kind of thing, if you don't really read a little bit of the IMDb trivia, read the Wikipedia backstory, I don't think it's real obvious, but I kind of caught on when she said it's better slinging ink here than back in Detroit. And because Eric Draven's from Detroit, and the way that she just so naturally understood the way a crow works when he comes back, like, I knew she had to be someone from the first movie. And then I looked through the first movie cast to see, well, was there a Sarah in the first movie? And then I saw there was, and it was the little girl that they kind of took under their wings. You know, the one who Eric kills her mom when he says that thing about mother is the name for God in the hearts and mouths of children everywhere, or whatever.
So this character is supposed to be from the first movie?
Yes, she's the connection.
Wow.
And they do drop a line about it's better being in the world's most Detroit-like part of L.A. than being in actual Detroit.
Good on you, Detroit. So get this. I think one of our Patreon subscribers from Detroit, if memory serves. I think it's Matt Schnapp. I could be wrong. But here's the thing, man. I love when she goes up to the little girl who's kind of like, like she was in the first film. And the first thing she goes is, do you, like, this girl's got to be like, what, 8, 9 years old, 12 at the very most? And she just goes, you want a cup of coffee? How about a hot dog? What? Those are the things that you offer this little girl?
That is kind of weird. Maybe that's the only two things that they actually had access to at the moment.
In L.A., all we got's coffee and hot dogs. You want anything else? You might as well head on down to Utah, buddy. We ain't got crap here.
And didn't they make
do you guys care for a coffee dog?
It's a new invention. I like my hot dogs hot, my coffee hot, and they're both on a bun.
You just dip it in the
straw.
You just go Kobayashi style and dip your hot dog in the coffee to make sure it gets down your throat quicker.
And did you guys think it was weird at all that in the plot of this movie, that little girl is supposed to be strung out on some kind of designer drugs?
What?
Yeah, those were all the little packets around. I don't know. I mean, like, it seemed like they were like heroin.
12 years old at the oldest, and she's a junkie in the side of the street. And then when Ash goes to talk to her and very creepily rubs her knee, he burns up her drugs with his crow fire magic, and then she quits doing drugs.
Of course he does.
That's how easy it is, man.
Hey, look, man, if somebody went and put my drugs on fire, I'd be like, how dare you, sir? You owe me money.
I'd be like, wow, that was the best batch yet. I thought I saw a crow man burn my drugs.
That dude just like, this is really kicking in hardcore. That man just burned all the rest of my drugs with his hands. I'm definitely going back to that dealer. This stuff's messed up.
And how about our kingpin in this movie, the bad guy? I'll call him Xerxes because I'm not sure I remember his name, but doesn't he have a little bit of a Xerxes thing going on?
All he's got is this going on, and here's how I'm going to act throughout the entire thing, like a weird little robot man who's trying to do Shakespeare, sort of.
I'm the preeminent gothic drug dealer in Los Angeles, and I wear my Persian silk pants while I have my own blind oracle in my building here.
This is atrocious.
All I saw when I saw that guy was the defense attorney from LA Law. That's all I saw.
Oh, man, I don't know why. To me, I just kept getting such a Xerxes from 300 vibe from that guy. Maybe it was the Oracle.
It was the weird voice, man. It's the weird voice he puts on because, like, the actor in 300, is it 300? He's got some sort of, like, weird kind of digitally thing done to his voice. This guy just does it for real.
I myself am a living god. Yeah, something like that. But and then also the Oracle, man. What a weird thing for a L.A. drug dealer to seek advice from, a blind Oracle. Like, I don't even know where you get those in America. I thought they were all in Greece.
It's bizarre. Now, we've all been to L.A. Does anything look like... I've never seen an L.A. look like this.
I've only been to San Diego, so I don't know.
I've seen sets on backlots that look like this.
That's about it. Yeah, this does not look like any LA I've ever seen.
And when Ash Corvin here, when he resurrects from the water or whatever, like,
how long has he been down there?
Does Sarah just hang out at the pier? I mean, of all the people in LA, he meets the one person who's been around a crow before.
Well, not only that, Bruce, but the crow flies into her her apartment that looks like no apartment anyone's ever had ever. And the crow's just hanging out there, and she looks at the crow like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" Like they're old friends, like they hang out.
Well, she hung out with him in the first movie 4 years prior or 2 years prior, whatever it was.
Right. But it's the bird itself. It's not the man. It's literally the bird.
That's
and then,
Rick.
It's like, okay, guys come back from the dead. No big deal. Just going to take him back to my house and do a very poor job of painting his face like Eric Draven's. I mean, can we agree that the makeup looked a lot better on Brandon Lee?
Well, they didn't try with this one. I mean, and first of all, I'd have been – all right, so let me ask you this. We'll rewind a little bit, and we'll get to that makeup in just a sec. So, like, how long has this body, like, been underwater? Because, like, him and whoever is kind of, like, bound and gagged underwater and stuff, and then, like, the magical crow flies, I guess, some such nonsense happened to him, and he kind of wakes up and, emerges from the water of
Yeah, that was him
whatever.
And Danny, his son Danny.
Right, so, but why is – so he's the only one that comes back up, though.
But in some of the Crow comics, they did have children who became avatars of the Crow, and I think this movie would have been more interesting if they had flipped those roles.
Kind of like a hit
1,000
girl.
times better.
A hit girl Crow. I'm down for that.
Oh man, yeah, Danny the teen crow or whatever. That's awesome.
Just a little Dani, just a little chick crow going in and busting heads. That would have been cool.
But Ash Corbin, we've kind of hinted at this before. The actor, the actor's interesting. He's got a Spanish father, a German mother, grew up in Switzerland, made his big break in French cinema. And I think he's supposed to be playing a Latino character because there's all this Dia de los Muertos stuff and they're in Los Angeles. So, boy, was this just not a big question mark of what they were trying to do with this character?
They were just trying to make him kind of look like Brandon Lee, but not.
And I mean, he clearly has an accent when he talks, but it's also clearly not an identifiable accent because of that mixed cultural background he has. I feel like, man, I don't know what they were trying to go. Like, was this really the best choice for this? The only thing he had been before this was the good-looking guy in the Roxanne movie, and compared to Gerard Depardieu, we're all the good-looking guy.
This is much as true. But now, I don't know if you guys read this little fun fact, but they were actually looking to do this movie starring instead, not this cat, but Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi gave some love a bad name back then. He might have given this movie a good name.
And here's the thing, man. Bon Jovi has done some okay acting. I don't want to say great by any means, but there's a couple roles in there that he's been okay
He's
in.
no John Mellencamp, but he's good.
Oh, God.
Isn't Bon Jovi in that submarine movie?
Yeah.
U-571 or something? He's good in that, if I remember correctly.
He's fine in that. He's in like a horror film here or there. He's not terrible.
What if they'd given John Bon Jovi the Iggy Pop role, Curve?
First of all, let's talk about Iggy Pop right now. What? I like Iggy Pop's music well enough. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but like
an odd guy.
He's an odd character for sure. But man, is he wrong for this role? Now, he's actually the director did a couple of Iggy Pop videos over the years and everything, so that's the connection there. But
has Iggy ever been in any other movies, or is this like it for Iggy?
No, he's done a couple acting things. I can't think of them right off the top of my head or anything, but I'll take a
Nothing
gander.
as big a role as this, which is a good point because he is a terrible actor.
39 acting credits has Iggy Pop.
Oh, man, but I was just waiting for the scene where he's like in a club where everybody's on drugs, or maybe he's riding down the street on his motorcycle and they started to play Lust for Life. I'm so surprised that we didn't get that scene.
They couldn't afford Lust for Life. Are you kidding me?
It's so sad that you can actually afford the performer more easily than you can afford the song.
Oh, you can't pay for that. So he was in a movie in 2009 called Suck, playing Victor. My guess is that's just not a clever name, the title of that flick. But here's the one. Here's the one that you would have never guessed in a billion years. Tell me if you remember this little fun thing. Little Bush, Resident of the United States. It's an animated series.
From Comedy Central.
Yeah, 13 episodes. He played Little Rummy.
Oh man, that's interesting casting there.
That's a bizarre. Okay.
And I've seen him in movies which probably get credits where he's just on stage performing, like while a scene's going on in a punk club. I've seen a couple movies like that.
Mr. Zellweger in Snow Days with your boy Cuba Gooding Jr.
He's my boy. He is my boy.
Was that Snow Days or Snow Dogs? I get those snow movies confused.
I don't know. Well, this one's called Snow Day. Maybe it's a picture small. I don't know who's in this. He wasn't. No, this one's got Chevy Chase. Oh, same difference.
Now, also, man, they're picking him to be like a street ruffian and drug dealer, but isn't the guy like 5'1", 107 pounds in real life, something like that?
I looked that up because I was curious because I'm like, how tall is he? The internet has him listed at 5'7", and I think that's utter bull crap.
That's complete crap.
In fact, I know that he had a solo song that I used to like, and this is going back 15 to 20 years, but he had a song called "I'm Only 5'1".
Yeah,
like that was the song that Iggy sang. So I assumed he must be close to 5'1".
He's about probably 5'1", 5'2", $109, all soaking wet and everything.
But he wears really high heels on his boots,
and he walks like a lady.
It's just so weird. Just like, does he have a limp or is like, what's going on there?
The Stooges liked it, whatever it was.
I guess. I'm just like, but how is this guy supposed to be? His acting, sorry, Iggy, sucks. It's terrible.
Now, it's awful.
I knew nothing about this casting before I watched the movie. And the thing that just threw me for a loop was to see the Punisher playing Nemo. Like that whole scene where we're trying to, I don't know, I guess it's Ash is finding Nemo while he's playing whack-a-mole in the Peep Show place.
Finding Nemo.
Oh man, that
whack-a-mole.
Like he's taking care of some self-service there, and then the wall comes down and closes the window, and the way he freaks out trying to put another coin in the slot to get that open is a thing of beauty, man. I honestly thought maybe Thomas Jane just accidentally was coming down from some really bad drugs back then, and he just had a freak out moment. I don't think there's another working actor alive who could have pulled off that freaking out because I got to get a slot in the slot machine over there quick enough.
Here's the thing.
To me, nothing dates this movie more than that specific thing, because that's a thing that doesn't exist anymore. It's kind of like a travel agent or a Blockbuster Video. It's like, wow, that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh man.
But why only a quarter when he started though, man? It's just like it's a family friendly show, but like when you put yourself against the clock, I mean, it's not a good thing. It becomes even exponentially difficult. Why wouldn't you at least throw in $1 there? Are you so hard up for bread that you're just like, be honest, I can't waste 50 cents?
It's kind of like, in my experience, it's kind of like pushing a wagon downhill. Once you get it started initially, it doesn't really need any help the rest of the way.
That's what I'm saying. Your active imagination can do what it can do. I was just like, did he really need that last 40 seconds? But what was weird though, and this is the eyeball in here, and I wonder if Sean probably caught something like this. The two different times that he puts a quarter in that thing, he gets different amounts of time. Like the first one has like 70 seconds. When he puts it in the second time, it's like 53 or something. Like that's where it starts.
That's how you keep them coming back, man. You randomize how much time they're going to get. You never know what to expect.
But you get penalized after that first minute, for sure.
So you got to put it so my guess is it's only like a quarter at a time. Otherwise, he probably would have put 2 in there. But man, you got to like have him by the ready. You got to have it like a pinball machine, man, where you just kind of sitting right up there going, hey, I got rides.
And then the poor guy who's tasked with mopping that room up has to bring his shotgun out in this scene too.
Not good. Not good.
And I love it, because the thing goes down and the woman that I can't see justified a Chuck E. Cheese token because she really didn't take anything off while he was watching in the first place. Like I totally don't know what Nemo's thing is.
I think he got a chowder bucket.
I don't know how they decided to put that particular wig on the very handsome Thomas Jane to make him just look awful. But then it comes back up and Ash is in there. And I like it because there's the phone call that comes through. Because he has on also a really weird thing. Like you really I wonder, man, do I grab that phone with my right hand, with my left hand? What the last guy in here do with that phone? Oh. I think I don't really need the audio commentary. I would be just fine with the visuals if I had to be there.
No.
But anyway, the phone rings and he picks it up and it's Ash on the other end of the phone, which I didn't even know those things could take incoming calls, because if I had known that, I would have been prank phone calling some people a long time ago.
What's going on?
But then Ash goes, and I want to talk about Goyer's writing very specifically here, because Ash goes, do you know what you call a group of crows? And I think a good writer just leaves it at that. He types it down with an ellipse after it. Mm-hmm. A not so good writer goes, do you know what they call a gathering of crows? A murder. And then a really bad writer, i.e. Goyer, says, do you know what they call a gathering of crows? A murder. A murder of crows. Do you get it? I'm going to murder you, and I'm the crow. I mean, that's essentially how that goes down.
Awful.
And a really, really, really bad writer goes, do you know what they call a group of crows? a flock of crows.
Hey, at least he got the murder part right. We got to give him credit for that. Credit where credit's due, Goyer.
I think he really threw his elbow out of socket, patting himself on the back for making that connection.
Oh man.
Oh, without a doubt, Goyer's like high-fiving himself in his stupid office as he came up with that line.
This thing just has his stink all over it, man.
And it's, you know, some of the other, I want to talk about, there's, I guess, a couple of other thugs. There's Spider Monkey, who doesn't really amount to much. And then there's the Asian lady. And guys, is it just me, or when you see an Asian lady in a really bad movie, is your first instinct that it might be biling?
Of course it is.
Really crappy movie, Asian actress probably biling. Wait, nope, that's not biling. Oh, well. But for a moment, that's who I expected it to be. Is this
That's really funny, Bruce.
Is this the Power Ranger you were talking about,
Adam? Yeah, it is. When she came on screen, I was like, oh, snap. Here we go, son. It is going down. And never once did they call any Zords out in this entire thing, and I was really, really disturbed with that.
So were you...
Was she the Pink Ranger or the...
She was the...
Yellow.
She was the Yellow Ranger. Of course it's going to be...
Asian.
She's Asian. She's got to be the Yellow Ranger. The Black Ranger...
That was me throwing the softball your way, guys.
The Black Ranger was black. Though the Red Ranger was a white guy. Does anyone think that makes sense? No? Come on now. Ain't no Native American Rangers out there that we can get a hold of? What's going on, people?
So let me ask you this question about Power Rangers, Adam.
Okay.
Because Bruce and I are too old to be watching Power. You never watched Power Rangers, right, Bruce?
And to be fair,
I watched it in college a little bit because it it really reminded me of some of the sort of what at the time, at least, it's a little easier to get your hands on now. But the stuff like Ultraman that was like a nice little nostalgic spot to scratch. And the first time I saw it on in my college dorm, I was like, are they like absolutely kind of making fun of these Japanese style shows? And then I realized, no, they're just repurposing the footage.
For America.
But yeah, I watched it a little bit.
But here's the thing. I want to make it clear. I was already too old to watch this when it was on the air. So, I mean, you know, be that as
you were.
Yeah, I was too old to be watching that. Like, if I admitted to friends that I was watching Power Rangers, I'd have gotten it all. It would have been good. But go ahead, please, with your Power Ranger.
Ladies, Adam is available.
Yeah, what's up?
So,
hey, girl.
Now,
he had a Power Ranger question. Was there something
let's
specific?
hear the Power Ranger question.
Or was it just that you wanted to see how sad we were?
Because my question is, like, you kind of answered it. Because my question was, do they take themselves seriously on that show, or is it like more of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of a thing?
A little bit, but you want to know who really takes who takes it to a big degree is the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, so that makes me a little less of a nerd. But the guy who plays the Green Ranger, that cat...
Oh, the MMA fighter guy?
I'm sure. He still thinks that, like, he can do this. Like, that's his biggest convention draw and everything. And that guy is, like, straight up delusional, just going, like, they're going to have me back in this any second, guys. They're making this big movie. I'm going to be in this thing any second. It's like, they're already done shooting that player. Any second now, they're calling me. He is, like, that cat's just insane. So now, I think they half know, but the Blue Ranger, I saw something on the internet where he just where like he won't talk about it anymore because people call him derogatory names. Let's just put it that way. And so he's just like,
he's the gay guy, right? That's what you're talking about.
I've been called that one too many times, so I don't talk about this crap no more.
Now, when the Yellow Ranger here, when she dies, you know, she goes to Sarah's apartment trying to get the crow or whatever, because they figured out the secret from the first movie is if you hurt the crow, you hurt the crow. And when she gets thrown out of the window and dies, and that blood leaks out of her in the shape of a crow, is that like something from a music video director that you might not see from a more talented director, or is that just awesome?
No, it's just everything. First of all, the fact that you said the word awesome anywhere in proximity to this movie makes me want to reach through the internet and slap you.
Yeah.
It's terrible. This guy...
To me, it reaches back to last week's episode of HMP where it's the Frank Miller, like, 13-year-old boy, hey, isn't this awesome visual kind of a thing? Like, that's where that goes for me.
I read in the IMDb trivia that they had to drop her out of that window 17 times before the blood splattered that way.
And again. But this movie is so 90s. The soundtrack is just absolutely awful. You got Rob Zombie doing a cover of whatever it was. It's just awful. Like,
and this was 96, right?
Yeah.
And so they're doing this when kind of the goth, at least the high point in my experience of the goth movement, is kind of seen better days. There's not as many people interested in this sort of thing as there were in 92, you know?
Yeah, it's starting to die out a touch, but there is kind of like a little resurgence because this is like where this is where Adam's time where he was like just going into high school and everything. So there was still a bit of that stuff around. Like it really didn't, I would say the whole like kind of, not to say that there's not pockets of it still, but like the kind of, big goth stuff really tapered down towards the end of the 90s.
I think we reached peak goth. I felt like we reached peak goth in 94, 95 when Interview with the Vampire came out, and then even the goth folks were sick.
Oh, that was your peak, but I mean like but it goes off from goth to also kind of almost into like kind of a new metal era and stuff like that.
Industrial stuff, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when we moved on from The Cure to Nine Inch Nails, and this is more of the Cure kind of scene that we're getting in this movie.
Yeah. But there's still remnants of a little bit of all that in there. But but that next scene, that's still just I consider that a continuation of the same thing. It's still all crappy people reading horrible poetry, wearing god awful clothes, just crying into their poetry slam books.
Last year, I promised to read you guys some of my old college poetry, but I don't have it handy right now.
Oh, drat. How will we ever survive? Patreon.com/HMP. Maybe we'll find some.
Where did the Crow get that motorcycle he rides in this movie?
Who knows? Why is he riding?
Did he steal it?
He's a mechanic.
Oh, that's
He's
true.
a mechanic.
So he built it
lying around.
I just pictured there's some guy that gets up and, he got the motorcycle to save money on gas because L.A. traffic's bad and you can get around the traffic better. He's up and getting ready to go to work. It's like his third day of work and somebody stole his motorcycle and he loses his job and he's going to be like the major villain in the third movie.
Dude, there's no traffic in this movie at all, ever.
Weird, isn't it?
There's not a car to be found in this movie.
Because they're on a back lot. That's why.
and it's always foggy and at night in Los Angeles. It's nothing like I was led to believe from that music video for I Love L.A.
Ugh, it's just... And let me ask you this, Bruce, because you're a man who's ridden a motorcycle or two in his time.
Never at the same time, only one at a time.
Just one at a time? No Evel Knievel in it where you got one foot on one seat and
like
another foot on another?
Skates, yeah,
bro. Isn't it quite dangerous to be riding with that kind of giant duster on?
I would imagine. I'm
looking at that going, how is this guy not going to die from that thing?
Stuck up in his back wheel.
Oh, my God.
And not only it'll cause problems because it's going to jerk you backwards, but it's also going to lay down the bike. I didn't see him wearing a helmet either, man. I guess when you're undead, you don't need a helmet.
Schmelmet. He could just be like, I was waiting for him to zip back off and just kind of like, go through the wheel a couple of times like a cartoon cat or something. It was I was just like, oh, so this is where the guy, bit it in
the Tom and Jerry phase of the movie.
Yeah. It's, oh man, I'm just sitting there going, this is why these people, got hurt and died on these sets, man. Y'all clearly don't care about safety. We'd CGI that duster today.
Well, moving forward to the climax, if you want to call it that.
Whatever.
They're having the big Day of the Dead sort of celebration. For some reason, they have it at the base of the skyscraper, I guess you would call it, this building where Xerxes has his operation going on. He's managed to capture Sarah. He's managed to capture the Crow. And for some reason, Ash decides that the best way to get up there is to climb up the side of the building King Kong style. Like, is he too good for the elevator, too good for the stairs? It just seems like an impractical way to get to the top of the building, even if you are the Crow.
Well, when you're shooting an art house movie, you do not want to use elevators or stairs. You want to be on a back lot and you want to be climbing up what is clearly a set. And so that's what they do on this movie.
Would you rather him get into an elevator and have the girl from Ipanema playing Muzak style over there while he's waiting to go to the top?
I totally would. And so would you, quite frankly.
Yeah, probably.
Man, this group of uninspired filmmakers, if they were making it today, the movie would be better because they would rip off The Raid, they would rip off Dread, and we would get to see the Crow put up a pretty nice body count. He starts out on the elevator, then he has to go on the stairs, and when he gets near the top, he can go out the window and climb up the last couple floors. But to just straight up go for the King Kong option, I mean, aren't there people in the sidewalk that say, hey, man, what are you doing? You're climbing. The door's right there, man. Door's right there.
Body count on this thing is low. From what I remember reading on IMDb, body count in this thing's like 10. So we could have dealt with some more bodies.
Yeah. And then, Xerxes starts doing the whole voodoo doll thing with the crow. And I kind of felt bad for the crow there, getting its wings stabbed and everything.
Not me.
No.
Not me. This is one of those movies where I'm actually rooting for the bad guys. That doesn't happen very often, but this movie was definitely one of those where I was like, come on, kill him.
And then in a very Goyer move where he just adds something totally out of left field to the mythos that was never in the comics, doesn't fit with the character at all. But apparently if you drink the blood of the actual crow, then it turns you into the crow and the other guy. Like, that's not how avatars of the crow work, I'm pretty sure. So we get this weird turn of events where we have an evil crow and suddenly Ash is depowered but not dead because he died. So if he lost his crow power, shouldn't he have died again and the crow died? Goyer's not real good at following his own rules or making sense, in my opinion.
It's stupid. And you got that guy throughout the entire thing. Why could they not get somebody to dub that dude? Because every sentence is like this.
I am an actor. I am acting. Why like me?
It is pretty much that the entire film. I
couldn't even understand him. Like 90% of the time he was talking, I had no idea what he was saying.
And then, they give it the total goth downer ending where the villain dies, the hero dies, the hero's love interest dies, everybody's dead, but somehow that's a good thing. I guess with this movie, it is a good thing. But, man, it was just a ending where it's like, well, we can't end it just like the crow, but we can't end it differently from the crow. So let's do this.
You are the crow. I had the crow. I am now dead.
Yep. That's what this entire movie is like. It is terrible. Now, I want to tell you guys how I got through this movie, and this is not a joke. And for those of you that were following on the Snapchat, you know this.
You played whack-a-mole.
Well, you got one word in there right. So this movie consists of a lot of running around and just doing nothing. And a lot of like horribly staged fight scenes, and there's only one way to make this entire movie fun. And honestly, you guys are going to want to watch this movie after this, because here's what I did throughout the entire thing. Watching. Oh, God, this is boring. This is terrible. How am I going to fix this? And I just did this. It makes everything better. They are running, and it is just like, because they're going in and out of doors, they're fighting people. It is awful. And if you play Yakky Sax, it will make your dreams come true. I was so excited.
Makes everything better.
That's the director's cut that makes this movie better.
I was just like, this makes this thing tolerable. I can smile while this is going on, and it is astounding how well it syncs up. It's like Dark Side of the Moon. Just do that.
Oh man.
So
yeah,
it's
they
awful.
Killed off Sarah. They killed off everybody, so they don't have to even try to pretend to bring anybody back for the next movie.
Why would you make another movie after this one? It tanked at the box office. What? Oh, let's do another one.
Let's do two more.
Yeah.
The next one, the budget was probably less than $5 million, but they had the rights. They got to use them.
That doesn't stop me, man. Heck no.
There's an old saying, the world needs ditch diggers too. Well, those ditch diggers need movies too.
And some of them work in Hollywood, California today.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So now, before we get down to our official ratings here and everything, we got to figure out how this quote-unquote movie relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, thank you, Adam. I happen to have a prepared statement.
Oh, boy.
In the mid-'90s, no matter how cool you thought you were, I promise you, you were not as cool as me. I honest to God, looked like a dark version of Kurt Cobain. I was in a super successful comedy group that toured around the country, where I happened to be the pretty one. I dated who I wanted, and I did more drugs than you. I promise. I did a lot more drugs than you did. The reason why I'm bringing this up today is because as time marched on, I was no longer the coolest, prettiest boy in the room. And my own life is the difference maker, actually, between The Crow and The Crow City of Angels. Because everybody looks at The Crow like it's some sort of underground masterpiece, and they don't bother to look at The Crow City of Angels because it's something that's instantly forgotten, much like the difference between my 20s and my late 20s. No one wants to think about the guy who has 2 kids and is way out of his element, just like no one wants to think about what it would look like if the Crow was a French guy. Anyway, this movie was produced by Harvey Weinstein, who everyone seems to hate except Gwyneth Paltrow, who I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the podcast before, is honest to goodness the worst person I've ever worked with. And it's not even close.
You say.
Also, Harvey Weinstein produced a movie called Spy Kids 3D, which is a movie starring the straight man's version of Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone. Mm-hmm. There's so much dirt on Harvey Weinstein that a book was written on how much dirt there is on Harvey Weinstein. But much like HMP's very own Adam Portrais, I couldn't be bothered to read it.
Wonder if that's up on Audible.
There you go to Audible. So there you are, HMPers. This week's Stallone connection. Now the French Crow and girl who clearly smells like patchouli. Let's review this movie so we can get to Doctor Strange next week, baby.
Yeah, let's get to the dirt first, though. So here on Hero Movie Podcast, we don't have your regular, star ratings or letters and none of that garbage. We got our own garbage. It's called the Patented Robin Rating System. And if you want to see what that's like, where everything lays on the scale, why don't you head on down to Facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. It's right there at the top of the page, man. While you're there, you can also like us. We're almost at 2,000 likes, for heaven's sake. Why not, jump on in and do that. So let's get down.
That's a lot of likes.
That's a lot, man. It's good stuff. Bruce, where does The Crow, City of Angels fall on the HMP Robin rating system for you, sir?
For me, it's not as good as The Crow. And watching this movie is the first time in my life I've ever said, man, I can really feel the absence of Ernie Hudson in this movie. I've never said that in another movie before, because any other movie where he belongs, he has shown up. He was even in the new Ghostbusters at the end, spoiler warning, guys. But I was sitting here thinking I would give this a whole extra Robin rating if we had some Ernie Hudson. And then I thought, great minds, great scientific minds come up with these theorems that, like Einstein with equals MC squared. And I started to think like Ernie Hudson is greater than Iggy Pop plus Thomas Jane. Couldn't sleep at all last night, just scribbling this out on the wall in crayon all over my bedroom. My wife's got a few calls in right now.
I figure it's like It's a Beautiful Mind, where you're just like going bonkers and you're just like, I know this.
You got a crazy wall where string is leading to other things.
There was a time in the early 2000s where I was compared to Russell Crowe from A Beautiful Mind, so that's close to home there. But it's anyway, Ernie Hudson clearly better than Thomas Jane and Iggy Pop combined. The only bright spot is I kind of like the actress that played Sarah. She's done some other stuff. She was on 24. She's done some other decent stuff. I want to say that she probably did the best she could with this monstrosity, but I'm not going to give it the Jason Todd, because I know somewhere there's somebody who thinks this is a cool movie. And I don't know why, but I can kind of get it. When I watch it, I think there's somebody that this really scratches their very peculiar itch. So I'm going to give it a Stephanie Brown. It doesn't have the compelling, tragic love story that The Crow had. The love story is basically non-existent between Ash and Sarah here. It doesn't have the production value, in my opinion, that the first one does. And it doesn't have the mystique that the first one did with everything that surrounded that production. But I'm still going to give it a Stephanie Brown, because somewhere there's somebody that just loves this movie, and I can kind of see it, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah, Hitler had followers too, Bruce. Sean?
I am not going to be nearly as generous as Bruce was on this movie. I hate this, and I don't hate it the same way that I hate all those stupid direct-to-video cartoons that you guys make me watch. I hate it in a totally different way. At least the people who are making the direct-to-video movies seem to care about what they're doing. No one gives a crap about this who worked on it. Right down to the set medic on the show didn't care about this movie. This is a lazy, terrible, pretend art project movie. When we see bad movies, and I know I bring this up a lot, but like the Doctor Strange movie from the 70s, like that's fun. That's a fun, bad movie. There is literally nothing fun about this movie. It takes itself, actually, it doesn't even take itself seriously because no one thinks what they're doing in this is good. This to me is the worst. You know what? I'm not going to say it's the worst movie we've seen, but it is definitely in the top 3 of worst movies we've seen on the show. And so I've got to give it a Jason Todd, and not only a Jason Todd, but a Jason Todd is that idiot who played Robin in the bad Batman movies. Because
this is a Chris O'Donnell. That's lower than a Jason Todd.
It's a Jason Todd is played by Chris O'Donnell.
Yowza,
because this movie is that bad to me. Think about this movie is an hour and 25 minutes long. If you can sit through this with just watching the movie, you're not doing anything else, then you might have some sort of mental defect because there's no way anyone can sit and just watch this movie. That doesn't happen.
I would watch it twice, straight through, back to back, before I'd watch Batman and Robin again with Clooney.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
That movie really, it wasn't just bad; it upset me.
Yeah, yeah. This movie upsets me. But also, I have no love for the Crow. Whereas with Batman, there's love for the character. I hate Batman and Robin. Everyone hates Batman and Robin. But there's something about this movie in particular that just scratches like the bit of me where it's like, I hate you. I hate everything about you, everyone who made this movie. And it's surprising to me, Bruce, to be honest with you, that you're being a bit compassionate towards this movie, seeing as who wrote it. I mean, he's literally the only name
my most hated. Yeah, the person I hate more than any other individual in the whole grand scope of comic book media.
Yeah, I know it. So for me, it is all day long. A Jason Todd is played by Chris O'Donnell.
Nice, yowza. So this movie, I'm with Sean. This thing is bad. This thing is horrible. Nothing. It's a giant, hour and 25 or 125 minute it's hour and 25 just music video that looks like garbage. It's badly done, it's badly acted, the cinematography is just awful, and there's a reason why Tim Pope did not become a big giant Hollywood director, as so many there's some music video directors out there that have gone on to big bad stuff. You got your Michael Bays, you got your David Finchers. There's some dudes out there that have done it up big time. There's a reason this guy didn't get there, because he is he's that music video cliche of a hack. He's a hacky dude, and this is terrible. I wish I could have gotten part of my soul back. I will say yakety sax is the best way to improve this movie. So play that in the background as this is going. You'll have a lot more entertainment with it. But what I want to do is, for the first time ever, I want to actually let one of the actors of this movie actually give my review for me. My grade here and everything. This is from Richard Brooks, the guy who played Judah Earl, or the big main bad guy, the black dude.
Xerxes.
So I'm gonna let him do his fantastic acting and tell you what I believe of this movie.
This movie is a Jason Todd.
That's it. That's how he acts. That's how this movie is. It's awful. Don't watch it. Ignore it. Run away. I can't wait till next year where we get to do another Crow movie, you guys.
I have
but Salvation's so good.
I have a lot more to talk about when it comes to the next two.
Yeah,
because I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about the second one. So,
But we'll have more of that. And by the way, Sean, it's funny that you mentioned the Doctor Strange from '78 there. I was actually looking to link it up because I talk about that in one of the YouTube videos that I put out there and everything. They've actually taken that down from YouTube. You want to know why? Because
the Blu-ray release.
Because on November 1st, Shout Factory is putting it out on DVD.
That does not surprise me in any way.
So we might do a contest where somebody can win a copy of that or something. I don't know. But that is it, everybody. So next week, Doctor Strange, we're going to do the real one. We're not doing any other ones. We've gotten all the bad Doctor Stranges out of our system here. We've got the 78 one. We got the animated one. All of those are out. We're ready to accept the loveliness that is the new Marvel Cinematic Universe and everything. Consensus right now on Rotten Tomatoes is this is a fantastic movie. I hear you absolutely have to see it in IMAX in 3D, and that just like is just like for people who hate 3D, go, dude, you got to see this thing in 3D because it's mind-bending and warpy and stuff. And I've heard some pretty great action scenes and whatnot. So I am super, super stoked for that. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Chubby Wizard. We did our own little horror comic rundown on Chubby Wizard this week, chubbywizard.com. It's on all your podcast clients. And then Heroes and Villains had our annual Halloween episode with special guest Jess Hall, as is the Halloween tradition, talking about Tomb of Dracula.
Very good, Mr. Keenan.
Go to twitter.com and find me at Hero Movie Sean.
And, of course, we've got tons of stuff out there. HeroMoviePodcast.com, Facebook.com/HeroMoviePodcast, Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, all is Hero Movie Pod. Links for all of these things are in the notes. And, of course, Patreon.com/HMP. And on next week's show, we're going to be talking about the movies that we have selected for our Patreon people to actually choose and vote for. So you guys will be able to vote yet again. And, again, all it's going to cost you is a whole $1. So you get to vote on the stuff. You get the extra show and all that other stuff. And guess what? If you donate more than $1, there's other bigger, better kind of rewards for you as well. Patreon.com/HMP. That is it, everybody. We are done. We will see you next week for Doctor Strange. For Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.